Right, so this is the basic digital programmable thermostat. It's been used in Apple Garth, in both houses at Apple Garth. I've just sent you the manual on a PDF. So, but if you've got the manual, it's pages 4, 5 and 6 to configure, to go into the configuration menu, which is something that you wouldn't normally have to do once it's been installed and set up. So as you can see, I push the power button, it all illuminates. Now if you turn the power button off, you'll see that it says off there. With the off button, with the thermostat turned off, you push the set button for 3 seconds. It comes into there, it says it's on program 1. The default is 00, which is what it's on. Now this one is to calibrate the thermostat. So if it's reading a little bit high, you can add or minus 1 or up to 6 degrees either way. So if you think the thermostat's reading a little bit high, so it's reading 22 but it's actually only 20 in the room, you can turn that down minus 2 degrees and then it will read what if you're using a different thermostat, wherever across the other side of the room, that would equal the same. So to go to the next one, you push, oh no, so to go to program 2, you push 2 again. Now the default setting on this is 35. Now this is the one that you're interested in. This is selecting the maximum room temperature that you're going to allow it to go to. Now default is 35, but you want to turn this down to whatever you want it to be. So 22 degrees would be more than adequate, and then they can't turn it up any higher than that. And you push set again, it takes you to the 3, select minimum room temperature, which is 5 degrees. That's the stop it from freezing up. Number 4, select maximum floor temperature. Now this one you haven't got to worry about if you haven't got a floor probe. Now normally with flooring companies, they either suggest that the maximum floor temperature should be 27 or 28 degrees. So that's what you'd do if you was using a floor probe. So that's program 4 at the top there. Program 5, select minimum floor temperature. Again, normally default is set to 5 degrees. Program 6, now this is where if you ever get an ER2 come up on one of the programmable thermostats, so you've got out, all, or in. In is the air sensor that's inside the thermostat, that's detecting the room temperature. If you're out, that's either a remote air sensor or a floor sensor, and all is if you've got both connected. So if you're using an air sensor for detecting the room temperature, and you've got a floor probe protecting the floor. So this should be set to in, which is the in sensor inside the unit. And if that is looking for a floor probe or a remote probe, it will come up with a fault code. Now we're on number 7. Select display backlight mode. So it's on default 2. Default 1 is light off. Default 2 is light on, and keep lighting on would be free. So don't need to adjust that. Number 8 is select fast heating or slow heating. So the default is fast. Not 100% sure why you'd want it to do slow heating, but That's for more complicated things. So number 9, now the default setting, is 0. Programming day in 1 week option. So 7, 3, 2, 0. So 7 is when you want to do it 7 days of the week separately. 3 would be when you want to do Monday to Friday, Saturday separate and Sunday separate. 2 would be if you want to do Monday to Friday and then the weekend like Saturday and Sunday all together, and 0 would be putting it to manual. So basically it wouldn't be programmable then. Now if you don't touch the screen after a few seconds it will default to switching off, so you'd have to go back again. So hold it for 3 seconds, go back through that. Now we was on number 9, so we'll just push that, changing to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now 9 well, we was just on that, so we've got that set to 2 at the moment on there. That's so that's going to be Monday to Friday and Saturday and Sunday the same. Now we go to number 10. Right, so we've got programming period per day option. Now that is either 6 or 4. 6 would be so you've got 3 time zones, so you could have wake up in the morning, then go out at 9, come in the afternoon, go out again, and then a third option for the evening to come on again for a couple of hours in the evening. Entirely up to you if you want to do 2 settings. So the 4 settings is in and out, and then 6 settings is in and out, in and out, in and out. So that's why that's 4 or 6. So moving on, number 11, selection of time scale. That's 24 hours clock or 12-hour clock. That's what that one is. So that's pretty straightforward. Moving on to number 12 is intelligent recovery option. That says it's on. The default is off. I'm going to put that to the default off because intelligent recovery option might be something to do with having remote sensors like outside or whatever, I don't know. But that's what that's about. Don't need to muck about with that really. Like I say, the default is off. 14. 12. Oh, that was 12. That was the default off. 13 is anti-freezing protection option, which is off. So I'm going to go back through there because right. So that's default off. That's the 13 is anti-freezing protection option. Now I would put that to default on, so that normally for the, and then moving on to 14 is set. Select the valve output mode. So that's normally default is NC, so just leave that one. Again, 15 is sensor selection. So it's got the default is 100, so 100k for Mister or 10k for Mister. Now obviously that would be for the electrician to decide what type of sensor they're using, but the default is 100, so I'd leave that, and then we're back to 1. That's it, and then you push OK, that's it, and then switch the stat back on again. And then you've got the other options then to go into set. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the bottom. That's the days of the week, and it's, so you'd say, yeah, it's got that. That's what you're programming, Monday to Friday. So you'd push set again. 6 o'clock, you're waking up. You want it to come on at 6 o'clock to warm up before you get up. So you can change that. Say 6:30, goes in 15-minute intervals. So saying 6:30, waking up, that's when it's going to come on. Push set again, takes you to the temperature. That's the temperature you want it to come up to. So if you want it to come up to 21 degrees, that's fine. If you want it a little bit lower, but we've set the maximum to 22, so it won't go above 22. That's what you wanted to do. So we'll put that back to 21. Then at 8 o'clock, it's saying we're going out now. There's an arrow there with the house and an arrow saying out. So we're going out, we're going to work. So if they're going to college or work at 8:30, say 9 o'clock. And then this is what it will come down to. The default setting, I think, is 16. And then if it comes below 16 degrees, it would switch on. But you could put that down to 14. But the default setting is 16. So if you was in the house, it would keep it at 16 degrees. It takes a long time for the underfloor heating to cool down in Screed, but not so much in other systems. So if it gets pretty cold in there, so if you had it down as 12, it would stop it from getting anything below that. So, and then this is set to 2 time zones. So again, it's got a picture of the house, the arrow pointing in. So you're coming in. So at 1800 hours, you're coming back in, it's switching on. It's coming up to 21 degrees. And then it's got the moon there, that's when you're going to bed. Set at 2200 hours. 10 o'clock, again, you could change that to later. But bearing in mind that it takes a little while for the room to cool down. So 10 o'clock would probably be okay for the majority of people. Set that. Again, depending on what temperature they want the room to be, especially if it's anything to do with a bedroom, they might not want it too high, so you could turn that down, set it 14, 15, 16, whatever you want, and then push set. And then it's got 6 and 7, and that's the weekend. Now obviously people don't work weekends, some people do, some people don't, so they might not want it to come on at 6 o'clock in the morning. They might want to lay in at the weekend, so they might not want it to come on until 8 o'clock. Again, coming up to 21 degrees. Then it's got going out at 8 o'clock because that's what we just set it to for previously. But so if they're in at the week, if they're in at the weekend, it's coming on at 8 o'clock. You might want it on for say 3 hours, and then give it a chance to cool down or whatever, but you don't want it to cool down too much if you're in at the weekend. So 17 degrees say, and then coming on again at 6 o'clock, 1800 hours, coming up to 21 degrees, and then night time going back at 10 o'clock. It's going to go switch off, but you might want to stay up a little bit later at the weekend. So say 11 o'clock, push the set button again. And this is the temperature it's going to come down to at night, depending on how you like your room. If it's a living room and you don't want it, you're not going to be in there. If it's a bedroom, you might want it a little bit warmer. But if it's a living room, nobody's going to be in there, you could turn it down to 13 degrees. But it just means it's going to take a little bit longer to warm up in the morning when it's switched on. Push set again. That's it. Push OK. Come out of there. That's your programming done. And that's it. The light will go off, and then like now where I've been here with my hands here, you can see it's reading 23.9, so it's not calling for heat. So if I actually wanted it to come on specifically, I could turn that up, but it won't go above 22 because we've set it to a maximum of 22. So that's not going to come on. So until that cools down below that, you can't turn it above 22. So if the rooms are above 22, you're not going to be able to switch it on, which is what some people are looking for to do. Here we are. That's how to program it. And then, but don't switch it off because that will turn the heating off. It needs to be in a programmable mode. If you want to make it in a manual mode, so you're just turning the thermostat up and down, you can set the maximum temperature to 22, but but it won't go down until they turn it down. It just keep it at a steady, whatever the temperature is set. If it's in a manual mode, it's like having a dial thermostat. So that's it. So if you look at this one, it's saying, I don't know if you can see, this one is actually saying ER1. So that's actually looking for a floor probe. So that's what I was talking about. If you've got it set to in, out or on, it's looking for a floor probe. So that's it.